Hi everyone, my name is Laura, and today I'm going to be doing a travel video. Recently we moved here to Florida from San Diego, California, and I wanted to do a video of our trip, some advice, some places that we've been, all the places that we've been, and some of the RV parks that we stayed at while we were going on our trip. So we decided to buy an RV for our trip since our family wanted to do some road trips, and it was a huge success. We had so much fun. We didn't have to worry about, we didn't have to worry about hotels and the price of the hotels, but we did have to find RV parks. And today I'm going to tell you about the places that we went to as stops in between and some of the RV parks. So first things first is when we were planning our trip, but 2 trips that we've taken so far, we used roadtrippers.com. It was so easy. It made it so much easier to plan our trip. I actually have our list right here. And I mean, it's pages and pages. We printed it out so we knew all the places that we wanted to go. Another tip that we did this time, since our GPS in our truck doesn't always work in some areas on our trip, so what we did is we actually went to Google Maps and we printed out the directions from each stop. So we had huge lists in the truck with us to make sure that we were going in the right direction. We put in all of the points in our truck to try to use it as much as we could. So we had all of the addresses. We had all of the addresses ready for us in case the GPS didn't work. And we kind of based all of our times and everything off both of the roadtrippers.com and our Google Maps stuff. So let's get to it. The first place that we stopped at, we actually stayed at the Sweetwater Summit Regional Park. When we stayed there for about a week while our house was getting packed and getting sold and everything like that. It was absolutely beautiful. It was quiet. There was a good amount of people there, and it is in the middle of houses and neighborhoods and stuff like that, but it was absolutely beautiful, and my kids loved it. We saw actually, while we stayed there, there was bunnies constantly around. There was a sign that said, rattlesnakes, but we didn't see any. We saw a roadrunner, and when we were going out to eat one time, we saw a coyote on a golf course. So we thought that was hilarious. We saw a roadrunner and coyote. But they also, at the Sweetwater Summit Regional Park, they have a little water, like a splash pad, I guess you could call it. My kids loved it, and it was so much fun. So that was kind of something for us to do while we were just kind of hanging out in our RV park. The first thing that we did on our trip is on mile marker 108 in California. There is a place called the Shoe Fence. On Road Trippers, I think it has it listed as Rice's Shoe Fence, and it's literally just a fence. It's not like really a stop, and it was so hot that day that we literally got out, took a picture, got back in the car, and we're done. Okay, one of the big things is a lot of people go there and they leave shoes. That's why it's called a shoe fence. They used to have one that had hundreds and thousands of pairs of shoes, but I think it burnt down. I think somebody said it burnt down, so they kind of rebuilt it, and now it's starting back up again. So it was really cool to see. So we literally just stopped. We stopped, took pictures, and we were done. So then we went to the Joshua Tree National Park. We went from the south side to the north side, so we could just kind of drive through, and we didn't have to backtrack through our trip. So it was absolutely gorgeous, but for most of it, it was it was just the road and a couple stops here and there. You didn't actually get to any of the campgrounds or anything like that until you got to the north side. It's absolutely beautiful. We actually picked up some snacks and lunch and stuff like that and just ate in the truck on the way there. Saw a couple of different, you know, couple trees, bushes, that kind of stuff. So it's not much to see, but it's quiet, it's beautiful, and we just kind of drove through. Our next thing on our trip is we went to the London Bridge. My husband had heard about it, and I kind of heard about it, but I had no idea that it was in Lake Havasu, Arizona. I had no idea it was there. So we drove by it. We actually ended up drove across it twice because we weren't sure where we were going to park. So we actually had to find a parking lot to park our truck and our RV. We walked over to it, they have a little panel next when you're about to go onto the bridge that has locks and stuff on it. There's not much to see. There is camping in a little like dock beach area on the other, a little bit further down on the other side than the one that we went on, that you can, you know, be outside and play in the water and have like a little beach thing. So we didn't actually do that. We actually just stopped to see the bridge and have lunch. We had lunch at Burgers Under the Bridge, I think it's called, or Burgers by the Bridge. It was delicious. It was so good. It was kind of small, and they have basically, it's all outside seating. They had fans, because it was so hot. They had fans and misting machines that would kind of keep you cool. Since we had our dog, they actually brought out a little bowl of water. Our waitress, I really wish I would have gotten her name. She brought out a bowl of water for Bam, and even brought him a treat for being a good dog. So it was really amazing. If you ever go, you have to go by Burgers by the Bridge. It was delicious, and my kids got shaved ice, and they love snow cones. So that was a nice little treat. Our first RV park was the Grand Canyon Caverns. We were actually going to stay at a different RV park, but my husband found it, since it's kind of part of the Grand Canyon, but not really. So we actually stayed there, and I think there was only one other person there when we got there. So it was pitch black. You could barely see anything around us, but it was beautiful. We went out at night because we got there right before, I think, or right after the sun went down. So it was already starting to get dark and everything like that. But my son loved seeing all the flowers and everything like that. We saw so many more flowers than you do in the city, and it was absolutely beautiful and quiet. You only hear nature, which was nice. But it was really good. So the next morning we actually went into the caverns and took a tour. Dino was our tour guide. He was amazing. He showed us so much different stuff, and it was actually, the Grand Canyon Caverns was actually featured on a Ghost Adventures episode, which we thought that was hilarious. And my kids absolutely loved it. So if my kids who don't do hiking and don't do a lot of extra curricular activities, they loved it. So I'm pretty sure any other kid would love it too. But when we left there, we went down Route 66 as much as we could. We wanted to do a lot more, but we didn't want to try to do too many Route 66 stops because honestly, like for me, a lot of them seemed like they were kind of just all the same. They have a couple things that are a little bit different, but the experience is kind of the same, to me at least. That's just my opinion. We stopped at the Rusty Bolt. We stopped at the Route 66 Motoporium. They're both those were the places that we actually wanted to stop at. So it was really cool. Outside the Route 66 Motor Emporium, they actually, that day that we went, they actually had horses outside. So we saw numerous people getting their pictures taken with these two horses that were just absolutely beautiful. And for lunch, we went to the Roadkill Cafe. It was absolutely amazing. Like I said, we went during the summer, so it was really hot. But the lady there brought us huge jugs for our drinks and brought out water for our dogs because they didn't actually have any umbrellas for their tables outside. So, you know, whatever. Our next stop that we actually stayed at for 2 nights was Bedrock City. So if any of you have seen Flintstones, you know what I'm kind of talking about. They actually have it in Vail, Arizona. It's, how many? It's not that, oh, it's about 30, it's still about 30 miles away from the Grand Canyon, but, my kids loved it. They loved everything about it, and it was a good RV. It was a good RV park. They actually had they had a store in the office and they had tons of stuff in there to eat and drink and stuff like that. But they also had like a little diner at the very end where you go into the Bedrock City. And the Bedrock City, my kids wanted to be in there for hours. They wanted to go back every day. They even want to go back now. It's super fun. It's not much, but it was a lot of fun. They even went down the slide, and I even went down the slide because, I mean, it was kind of iconic to the Flintstones. So we had tons of fun there. While we were there, right down the street is Planes of Fame Air Museum. My husband and my son love planes and history and that kind of stuff. So it was a nice kind of quick stop. Me and the girls really weren't that into it, but it was still really cool to see all the different planes and stuff like that over the years. So the next day we went to the Grand Canyon, and if you're ever hesitant about going to the Grand Canyon, change your mind. You have to go. If you can go at some point in your life, you have to go. When I went there, I was kind of like, okay, we're going to the Grand Canyon, you know, yay, we're going to go see a Grand Canyon. We're going to see the Grand Canyon, basically. But the pictures of the Grand Canyon do not do it justice at all. It is absolutely beautiful. They have, I think, 3 or 4 different shuttles that kind of take you from side to side, and it's absolutely beautiful. You see something different at each different spot, and it was right when we got off the shuttle and we saw the Grand Canyon, it took my breath away. It was so beautiful. So you have to go at some point. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm so happy we went. I would actually love to go again, even though we went to the South Rim. So next time we go, I would love to go to the North Rim to kind of see, and actually maybe even take a hike, because we just got on the shuttle and stopped at some of the sites. So we didn't do a lot of hiking. Next, we went to the Winslow, Arizona Meteor crater. We had been to a crater before, so I wasn't expecting too much, but this one is actually, the tour guides actually had a lot of information, and we were able to, we only went to like a really small part of the crater, and it's hard to kind of express how huge this crater is, and it is absolutely amazing. The only problem that we had is when we were there, it was kind of hot outside, but there was like these little like bugs that were just like swarming our entire group. So nobody really wanted to stay, and our tour guide wanted to get all the information out as quickly as possible, because it was kind of uncomfortable. But they have a huge rock right before you actually go on the outside tour. So that was really cool, and you can actually touch it. It's not going to hurt me or anything like that, even though it's a meteor crater. But actually, one of the things that we noticed and the tour guides told us about is a plane actually tried to fly over it, and he flew too low, so he actually ended up crashing into the crater. There is still a piece of his plane in the meteor crater. It's a piece of the wing. It's a 10-foot section, but when you actually look into the crater, it looks like a grain of rice. It is so small, so that kind of tells you how huge this crater is. But it was amazing, and it was a nice stop because we got lunch there and we got a couple souvenirs. So, you know, that was kind of our thing. Even if we weren't going to stay very long, we wanted to get some souvenirs and just to kind of remember and say that we've been there, and we're happy that we went. Next, we did this kind of the same thing as the Joshua Tree National Park. We went to the Petrified Forest National Park. And again, it's absolutely beautiful. I kind of think of it as a mini Grand Canyon because it has a lot of the same colors and it kind of has the same effects on the walls and stuff like that. But just a couple. We didn't actually see any petrified wood or anything like that, but at one of the gift shops, my husband actually got a piece of petrified wood, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. At the end, you can go from the south to the north, and we actually just went to the north area. We didn't want to. The way that we were going, we could actually have driven like 20 miles off of our route and taken the whole thing, but we didn't really want to drive out of our way and then go through it when it was kind of all the same thing. It was really beautiful and peaceful, but we only did a small section of it where we saw some of the petrified forest, and we actually saw an area that's called Lacey's Point. It's called the Painted Desert, and all the walls look like they're painted because it's all the different color changes, and it was really beautiful. We were really happy that we stopped. The kids, you know, were kind of in the background, just kind of looking at everything, wanted to take pictures and stuff like that. So it was a good stop. Also, that night we stayed at the Bar S RV Park. Okay, the Bar S RV Park. It was a very popular stop. It is actually, you have to get off the highway and kind of drive to it, but it's very easy to get to. The only problem the problems that I had is the whole ground area where the RVs are like small rocks, and it wouldn't have been such a bad thing if we didn't have our dog. My dog's kind of small. He is only about 10 pounds. So when I was taking him to go to the little dog area so he could use the bathroom, he kept getting pebbles stuck in his paw. So it actually made me worry about him because he doesn't really like us playing with his paw. So I didn't want him to hurt himself. So, you know, if for any reason that you guys do go to Bar S RV Park, just keep that in mind if you have any dogs, just to kind of get ready in case they get any pebbles stuck in their paws. Also, that night, I got woke up by a train. It is right in between the highway and the train track, and I read some reviews talking about the train, and that they had never heard the train horn or anything like that. Well, when we were there about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard train horn, and it took me forever to try go back to sleep. So that kind of was upsetting. So the next day I was just so tired and worn out and just wanting to get out of the car and do something else. So that was my only issue with that. But other than that, it was decently priced and a very convenient stop. So next we went to the National Museum of Nuclear History and Science. That was kind of my husband's choice to go to there. It was really cool to see all this stuff. They actually have they had different planes and stuff like that outside. They had a lot of stuff that you can kind of see outside, and they had tons of stuff that look inside. So it was really cool to see. It was really cool. Then in New Mexico, the National History of Nuclear Science and Histories in New Mexico. So then we went to the Billy the Kid Museum, which was amazing. Now at this museum, only a small part is actually Billy the Kid. The rest is just all different items from that period. They had cars, they had horse-drawn carriages, they had, you know, horse saddles. They had horse saddles, and then they had instruments, they had clothes, they had weapons, they had all different things that were throughout that period, and that was what was really cool to me, just looking at all the different stuff. They had a small piano, they had sheet music of you know, a Billy the Kid song or something like that. It was really cool, and that's what I love to see, and even my kids like to kind of see how things were different than they are today. After that, we went to his gravesite. I think it's about, I think it's like a mile or two away from the museum. And when you're driving down the street, you'll actually see it. My favorite part, honestly, was I freaked out. I really love cows, and on our way to Billy the Kid's gravesite, there was a cow in the middle of the road, and I lost it. It was so fun. And he just walked off and went about his business, but it was really cool. When you're driving by, the cemetery is actually very small. There's only a couple other people buried there, but when you're driving past it, if you're not looking for it, you could possibly miss it. We actually almost did, but we saw there's a huge cage over his gravesite, because I think people in the past had vandalized it, tried to steal his headstone, that kind of stuff. After that, we went to the Red Barn RV Park in Roswell. This was our second time in Roswell, but the Red Barn RV Park was amazing. I think there's only like 10 or 11 RV spots, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's well kept. Right behind it, there's just an open field. There was nothing there, and I don't think they're actually planning on putting anything there either. So it was just so peaceful. The people there are super nice. All I had to call them because they weren't in the office. She was there in a couple of minutes, and it was a beautiful spot. But like I said, the only reason that we really went back to Roswell was for Cattleman's Country Kitchen. We went there on our last trip, and my husband absolutely loved the steak, and I love the food too. So, the service was amazing. They made us feel at home. And if it's your first time, they actually give you, I think it was coleslaw and baked beans, and they want you to try together, and it is absolutely delicious. And again, when we went, it was so good, and we were so happy that we went back. I mean, the food is amazing. So if you're ever in Roswell and you're trying to find a spot to go, you have to go to Cattleman's Country Kitchen. You will not regret it at all. My kids even loved it. You won't regret it. So on our way, when we went to Texas, we were going to be staying in Texas for about a week and a half. So we had a lot of stops in Texas. We actually went to the Dr. Pepper Museum in Dublin, and it was super cool to see all this stuff. They actually have 2 Dr. Pepper museums, one in Dublin and one in Waco. And the stuff that they have is there's a lot of stuff that's the same, but there's a lot of stuff that's completely different. It has a whole different feel. And at each place, we actually got different drinks and stuff like that. So we're going to try. We had the Dublin Dr. Pepper, and I think we even got some Route 66 Dr. Pepper, and they were so good. They actually have, in the Dublin Dr. Pepper Museum, they actually have a lot of different sodas there. So we actually still haven't tried them all, but I'm going to get the kids and we're going to try all of them, because I think we got 6 different ones. So we're going to try those. Also, like I said, we went to the one in Waco. We did go to the one in Waco. But while we were there, we actually went to Magnolia Market, the silos, and the bakery. It was super cool. I even bought some stuff. So like, it is all very pricey because it is kind of a touristy spot because of Chip and Jo, and it being on Fixer Upper. But it is worth it. I actually got a candle that is absolutely the fall candle, and it smells so good. I actually only light it for a little bit at a time because I want to just kind of keep it. I kind of want to keep it going as long as I can. And the bakery, when you think, a lot of times when I think of celebrities doing bakeries and stuff like that, I really don't think much of it. But the cupcakes and the cookies are so good. The cookies are pretty big, and I was actually shocked at how big they were. But the cupcakes were so good. I really wasn't expecting much, but when me and my kids tried them, I was pleasantly surprised. They were so good. So if you're ever in Waco and you want to go, if you want to find a treat, you have to go. It was amazing. And while one other thing that we did while we were there, we did a lot in Waco. We did a lot of in the Waco area. We went to the Waco Mammoth National Monument, and it was so cool. They actually they excavated the site, and they found a whole bunch of mammoth bones, and the primarily the ones that they have are in a museum. The other ones they noticed that were in multiple layers, so they actually built the building around it, and it was an amazing thing. It's actually climate controlled, so when you walk in there, it's cold. The tour guide actually tells you quite a bit. There's different things. There's actually different animals that are in there next to the mammoths, and they're trying to kind of figure out different things about how they got there and why the different layers and different animals are in there and what was going on. It was really cool. My kids enjoy it. So if my kids enjoy it, a lot of kids are gonna enjoy it, I promise. Also, we went to the Branch Davidian compound. I went on to Road Trippers, and I even went on to another website to kind of see as much information as I could, and they basically said if the gate is closed, do not bother them because people do still live on the property. So, but a lot of the times the gates are open, so they'll let you go in and kind of look around. I did notice, because, like I said, we had our dog with us. There was a dog on the property. The dog is perfectly fine with people and kids coming on the property. It has no problem, but it does get territorial with other dogs. So it did. My dog and the dog there kind of growled at each other for about a second, and then we kind of walked away. So keep that in mind if you ever go. They do ask for donations to kind of keep the memorial to keep the memorial going, and for basically being on their property. There's a small church on towards the back where the house was and the pool. We didn't really want to walk too much because we didn't want to really invade areas that we might not supposed to be there. So just kind of keep that in mind if you go. Then when we were leaving Texas, we went to Houston, and my son loves space, so we went to the Houston Space Center, and I'll have to say it was amazing to go there. I've always wanted to go just because it's the Houston Space Center. They do a little demonstration, and they ask for a volunteer from the audience just to kind of be an astronaut for a couple minutes. When he asked for a volunteer, I knew my son was too small, but when I looked at my son and kind of smiled at him, I didn't notice my daughter volunteered, and he actually picked my daughter to go up there. So I have tons of pictures of my daughter in a sleeping bag, riding on a little exercise bike, and being up there on stage with the guy, and it was super fun because she's only 10, so I was really surprised that she even raised her hand. So that's pretty much coming to the end of our trip. When we were coming, there was a hurricane coming towards Pensacola. So we actually stopped at Lakeside. I think it's called Lakeside RV Park. It is absolutely beautiful. It's in Louisiana. I can't exactly remember what city. But that's where we stopped in Lakes. We stopped there, and there's a gas station not far from it that had souvenirs and clothes and snacks and stuff like that. And it was a gas station. We stopped there, and we stopped at the RV park. The RV park was amazing. There was a lake. You can actually fish from it. There was a game room, and there's even a teen room. And there's like a little area that you can have parties and stuff like that. And it was absolutely beautiful. And we actually stayed there to kind of wait, because by the time we were getting to Pensacola, we would have been right in the eye of the hurricane. So we decided we weren't going to, or not the hurricane. We decided, I think it was just a storm, but we decided to stop there, and we're really happy we did, because it was an absolutely beautiful RV park. And once we left there, we came straight to Pensacola and came into our house, because we bought a house here. And it was, although I was really excited to just get here and not have to go on not be on our trip anymore. Our trip was so much fun. We have so many pictures. We have so many memories and a lot of souvenirs to remember it by. I'm really happy of the trip that we went, and I really look forward to taking another RV trip. And I'll definitely keep you guys updated on where we go next. So I'm going to have all of the places in the description. So if you guys decide you want to go to these places, you'll have the name. But that was our trip. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.